Good morning. Welcome to Rise and Shine Yoga. I'm Heather. I'm happy you've joined us today to help set your day off on the right start. So we'll incorporate mindful breathing, some movement, yoga postures, and at the end, relaxation. So if you'd like to join me to begin in a seated position, if you're not comfortable on the floor, I always sit on a little cushion or something. You can always sit in a chair. So that's always an option for you here. And anytime throughout the class, if you need to change your position or modify, I strongly encourage that you do what feels right for you. And we'll just get started with beginning to come into our nice posture here, sitting up nice and tall. In the seated position on support, if you find that your legs are up, it's also nice to put something underneath the legs if you do want to sit on the floor on a cushion. It's good to support the legs so the hips can relax. And I like to start from the base, the foundation. Again, just checking in that your legs are comfortable, that you're centering yourself through your sit bones. You can just imagine where those are. And from the base of the pelvis, from the pelvic floor, just bring your attention up through your upper body and go right through the core of your upper body, up from the root to the belly up to the heart. And as you do that, becoming more aware of these areas and helping to open and align them. Shoulders back. And generally it's the head that it tends to go forward. So we're going to bring the head so that the crown of the head is in line with the base of this channel here. To the best of our ability. Again, you want to be comfortable. You want to feel like your body can relax as we begin to incorporate some mindful breathing, slowing down your inhale and slowing down your exhale. Steadying the breath is a way to bring steadiness and calmness to your entire being, your body and your mind and your emotions. So the more that you can help your breath promote a slower, steadier, sinking your breath down on the inhale, perhaps a little pause before you exhale. And it can be helpful at first to breathe out through the mouth, really lengthening the exhalation. I also, when I'm inhaling, we want to utilize those areas of the body that we don't use enough of in the breathing process. And most of our breathing muscles are in the back. So when you inhale, feel your breath expanding through your back. And see if you can go right to the lower side ribs there, widening out. And then again, just a slow release, maybe through the mouth on the exhalation. And let's stay here for 2 more breaths. As you bring your focus onto your breath, onto yourself, you're helping to give yourself some time to unwind in the mind, to steady the mind by focusing on what you're experiencing in the present moment. That in a nutshell summarizes mindfulness, experiencing the present moment. Also with attitude of try not to judge your experience, trying to just honor it for what it is. We do a lot of, this is a generalization, but we often, when we're not wanting to feel a certain way, we often like push it away. Or if we're in an experience that we're not happy with, we resist it. Or sometimes we do the opposite and we cling to. And both of those things that we do can cause a lot of suffering. But here you're relaxing, you're allowing. And even when you're not feeling perfectly at ease, it's still good to just notice and honor. Every experience is temporary. So we'll begin to do a little bit more movement. So if you'd like to, on your inhale, lift your chin. And on your exhale, you can slowly drop your chin towards your chest. And this is a very gentle movement. Feeling that movement all the way through your upper body. So inhaling and opening, lifting the chin, exhaling, dropping, feeling a little bit more of a stretch in your back. We call this one the seated cat-cow. It's really good to help loosen things up for the rest of the day. Keep a lot of mobility in your spine and in the muscles of your back. We'll do one more breath like that. Good. This time coming back to center, and we'll rotate circle the upper body. See if you can come right from around moving sort of from the base of your torso here, and do a few circles in that direction, and then I'll switch, move in the opposite direction. Come back to center. And this time, if you'd like to reach your right arm up as you take a breath in, and as you exhale, come over. And then breathing in, and breathing out to release. We'll continue that a couple more times, or a few more times. Move with your breath. You can hold for a few breaths. And one more time each side. Breathing in, lifting up. Breathing out, coming over. When you're ready to release, breathing in to come up, breathing out to release. Good. And then go with that. And let's take the legs out of this position and stretch them out to the sides for a moment, widening out, doing a little bit of shaking, rolling through your legs and feet. And let's flex the feet. Let's point the toes or extend out through your toes. And then we'll extend out with the heels, pointing the toes up and towards you. And we'll do that again. Good. And then trying to keep your feet centered. Next time you inhale, come up, lengthening right through. Next time you exhale, come over one side gently. Try to hinge from your hip as best as you can. If you need to, you can bend your knee when you come over. And we'll do this a few more times each side, breathing in and breathing out. Starting to feel a bit more stretch in your legs. Again, if it's really tight, you can bend your knee and you don't have to reach too far on your leg. Morning times usually one of the, definitely the stiffest times of the day. So when we first begin, we really want to be gentle. Good. This time, inhale, reach those arms straight up, and exhale, release. Reach your hands behind you, opening the chest. You can feel that you're lifting right through your heart, shoulders back. One more breath here. And then we'll slowly release. Bringing the legs out of that position. Let's come into, actually, I'm going to change my mind here. We're going to come into a supported squat. So if you have a little bit of a higher support here, you could do a more traditional squat from your feet, and if that feels good, for sure. But I just want to make sure, in case there's anything going on in your, especially your knees, right? I want to show you how to do a supported squat. So I'm making giving a little height here for my seat, and then keeping the legs fairly wide and the feet rooting down. We can bring the hands together, and with the elbows just gently pressing on the inner part of your knee there. So see how that feels for a few breaths. And take one more breath here, focusing, again, breathing into the space of your back body and releasing it all out. To come out of this one, just bring your hands down. And if they're not already, or forward, let's bring the arms forward and then starting to come up onto your feet. And before we come right up, we'll stay over in a forward bend. You can, and again, just do a little movement, rocking your hips from side to side. If you need to, you can keep that, if you're using support, you can keep that support for underneath. And then we're just going to reach a little bit more towards the right with the left hand. You can bring your right hand to your lower back. And then we'll do the opposite. Releasing slowly, bringing your right hand towards the left foot or left side of your body. You can always come onto that leg too for a little bit of a twist, and then coming back to center and rooting right down through your legs and your feet, keeping your knees bent, bending and straightening here a little bit. We're going to start to come up really slowly, rolling, aligning as you do, standing straight up in your mountain position. I'm just going to stay sideways so you can see my posture here. But first we root down through the legs and feet, feeling your legs activate. And then with the next breath in, reach your arms straight up. And this time exhale, palms, hands shoulder distance, and we're going to come into a chair position. So bending the knees and hips sink down a little bit. Notice I'm keeping my arms, you could bring your arms right in alignment upwards, but if that doesn't feel great just yet, you can keep your arms anywhere parallel to the floor, a little bit higher. Next time you breathe in, plant those feet and slowly come right up, reaching through your arms. And the next time you exhale, release your arms, come into your forward bend again. Let your head think. Good. From here, coming halfway up. And exhale, we're going to step back through the right foot. We'll stay upright. And we're going to get our our alignment, steadiness in the legs. You can bend and straighten the front knee a few times. Let's lift that back heel for a moment and then plant it down. And feel really strong and stable in your legs. Hips pointing forward, knee in line with your toes. Next time you inhale, we're going to slowly reach these arms up. You can find one place to focus on here in the warrior one position. Again, you decide where you place your arms. You can reach them back a little bit. They could be a little bit more forward. And one more breath. Next time you exhale, we're going to come down and we're going to actually fold a little bit the upper body. You can place your hands on your front thigh here. It's my left thigh. And just do a little bit of a stretch for that hamstring. Half pyramid pose. Lengthening out through your upper body. Planting both feet. We're going to slowly rise up again. This time we're going to shift the back foot. We're going to lift and shift it so that the left heel, if you looked, is in alignment with about the center of your right foot. And now we're going to face sideways with the hips and find the right distance for your feet when you bend your knee. You don't want your knee to go too far past your ankle. So again, a little bit of movement to develop that strong, stable base. Once you have that sense of stability and strength in your lower body, then you can come up in the warrior position, warrior two. We might just do all three warriors today. So you can look over your left hand, softly gazing, breathing, opening the space right from your heart. You're gently extending out. So there's a line of energy moving outwards from your heart through your arms. I want to keep them a little bit soft here. One more breath in the warrior two. And you can also smile. That helps a lot. Helps cultivate a really nice, more joyful energy and spirit to this pose. Slowly releasing your right arm straight down, reaching your left arm up. And we won't stay there too long. We're going to swing the other way. So resting the left arm on the left leg, we're going to reach up. Good. Starting to come into the side angle pose. See if you can bring that arm in alignment with your leg. So try and go for a straight line, but I'm feeling it more than looking. I want to feel that. I feel this opening right through my entire side body. And then from there, we're going to come down with that arm. Try to bring it towards that foot. Come back to center. As you center, turn your feet forward. You're in a wide-legged position. We're in wide-legged forward bend and just let your upper body sink. Good. Starting to come back up. You can bring your feet in a little bit. So again, you feel that you can really root through them as you start to stand up. Let's come up with both arms into the star. Taking a few breaths here to open and expand right from your core outwards. And turning your feet slightly out to the sides, we'll come into a squat, the divine goddess pose. So you bring your elbows in, helping to open your shoulders. If your legs get tired, you can straighten them. You can pulsate a few times. And then when you're ready, we're going to reverse what we just did. So now we're going to take I'm going to start with Let's start right into the side angle pose. So we're just going to reverse everything. We're going to go to the other side. So we're going to bring that arm up and take the arm right over, lengthening through, finding a real nice extension here for your side body. One more breath. Making sure that knee stays centered with your toes, slowly coming up, letting that arm release, bringing the other arm up. You can bend that knee. If your legs get a little tired, you can always straighten them. But it's a really good way to keep your legs strong and keep your energy, your body grounded. I'm going to slowly move into warrior two now. Arms reaching outwards, that right knee bent. Breath here. Noticing I'm just a little bit tired today. And I'm not gonna like drain all my energy, even though I do really help. I invoke a lot of energy through this process, and I hope you do too. So no matter how I feel, I always feel better afterwards. You just want to respect your body's limits on any given day, and slowly release both arms. And then let's we're going to adjust here. So we're going to adjust the back foot. We're going to bring it forward and turn towards that front foot. So we're going to adjust our hips. So now we're facing the front foot, facing the one edge of your mat here, coming more into that warrior pose. And then straightening both legs to the best you can, hinging from your hips forward. Feeling a good stretch here. Try to adjust your hips so that your tailbone's going straight back. You feel centered here in your pelvis. And then coming up, bending that knee again. This time we'll lift the arms in warrior one. I'll take a few more breaths here before we release. Lift up through that back heel. We're going to slowly bring that foot forward in alignment with the other and come into your mountain pose. We'll pause for a few breaths to help integrate those last few positions. And so that was a really good, good workout for the legs. And not only are we cultivating physical strength in those poses, but also we're cultivating a lot of inner strength. So finding our confidence as our body feels a little bit more strong and stable. Okay. The next thing I think we're going to do, it involves a belt. So if you want to have something, if you absolutely can't find a belt, don't worry. But a bathrobe tie works really well. I'm just going to shimmy so you can see my arms a little bit better. And we're going to start pretty wide on the belt with your hands. And this is a really nice shoulder opener. So what you do on your inhale, you lift, centering your arms. I'm lifting straight out. And then if it feels good, if there's no, pulling sensation, it feels too tight in there, might even hurt, don't come back. So I'm coming back behind me. Don't come back if there's any kind of sense of pain in the shoulder joint, especially if you've had a recent shoulder injury. But you can just, in that case, you can just come back as far as it feels right for you. Really good stretch. Pull your arms out. You can try coming all the way back if that feels good. That's on the exhale. On the inhale, come back up. And on the exhale, come back down. And continue to float for a few more breaths here. Breath coming in, arms lift up. And breath moving out, arms release down. Let's try that one more time. Good. This time as you inhale, do the same thing, lift, but we're going to move the left arm down and back. So I'm reaching back and the right arm straight up. Good. And then we'll come back to center and we'll do the opposite. Right arm back and down, left arm straight up. And release, come back to center and letting that go. See how that feels. Just circle the shoulders a few times. You can bring your feet a little closer in. Just getting a sense of how your shoulders are feeling there. We did a little bit of remedial work to open up. The pose that really helps with as well is, I like to swing my arms too, is the shoulder opener where you bring your arms behind you. We'll do that right away, but first just swinging the arms to help really loosen up. Okay, shaking that out. Shaking out through your legs a bit too, and your hips. And then one more thing, we're going to swing sideways. These, if you are a bit on the tired side, these are wonderful movements. If you only did a few movements just to help wake your body up, these flowing movements are really nice to do first thing in the morning. All right, we'll slowly release. And well, maybe use the belt, maybe not. We'll see how it goes. Again, we're going to step a little bit wider. I might show you from sideways version so you can see my arms here. We're going to reach back. I'm stepping wide. Interlace your hands. Now for some, and especially if you found it hard to bring your arms back, you might want to hold on to the belt. So the belt, your hands are a little bit wider on the belt. So that we can lift the arms away from the back a bit here. When you're doing this posture, try not to pull too much so that the shoulders are pulling back. Try to soften and just let the front of the shoulders relax a bit and just reach through the arms. Try to keep the inner creases of your fingers together. At the same time, you're kind of pulling apart. Pull on the hands, pull them apart. See if you can come into this pose. Soften and release through the front of your shoulders. Breath here. If you only hold for 1 or 2 breaths and then plant your feet, bend your knees, slowly rise back up. Release a bit, keep your hands together, but really soften and release your shoulders. We're going to try that one more time. So when you're ready, again, you're doing what feels good, okay? You can keep your hands together, try not to let them slip apart, but at the same point, you're kind of pulling on the hands a little bit, pulling them apart, even though you don't want them to actually come apart. You might come a little bit higher, depending on your shoulders. Try to keep your length in your spine. Keep your head in line with your spine. You can maybe just go halfway here. The next time you inhale, plant your feet, bend your knees, slowly rise up. And release your shoulders. See how that feels. Good. Close your eyes and just get a sense of how your shoulders are doing. I'm going to do just another pose again. This is really good for the shoulders, the armpit opening. So I've taken my right arm up and right back. I'm using my left hand to support that elbow to lift up. And then I'm going to switch. So I'm just going to take my other hand to the elbow, pull it up and back, keep my head in alignment. So trying to keep my body fairly straight. It's either easy in this pose to let go, but just keep trying your best to align your whole body. And then lift both arms straight up, release, and let go. All right, that's probably enough for the shoulders for right now. One more standing pose, or maybe even two. This one, if you want to work with a chair or the wall, we're going to do a couple balancing poses. So if you know sometimes your balance a little off, please use support. You can face the wall for this one if you're going to use the wall, or use the back of a chair. So the first one, we're going to see if we can reach the foot behind. If that's tricky, you can always belt your foot. You can put your belt around your ankle. I like to put it kind of around the foot a little bit more and hold on to it there. I've got the wall for support if I needed to, especially when I'm looking at the screen. To find balance, it's really about finding mental balance, finding mental focus, not trying to look all over the place, or really centering in on one thing here. In this dancer's pose, you can reach your other arm up, root down through that standing leg. Look, I tried to look and I can't. Lose my balance. So keep trying again. Good. Eventually we start to come forward a little bit more here. And try that, and then release. And stand. It's good to stand in mountain for a few moments before you switch. Gives your body a chance to integrate that and relax before we do the other side. So we're going to shift the weight to the other leg. Make sure, again, when you're balancing on one side, when you're standing on one leg, you don't want to collapse through your hips. So this is collapsing, right? This you want to lift. So this is kind of collapsing. What happens is your bone kind of juts out. This is you're bringing that bone that sticks out in and feeling lifted and open here through your leg. So trying that in every standing pose that we're doing. Work on just one leg. Okay, we'll do the other side for the dancer. And take a few breaths here. When you're ready, you can reach your arm. Now, if you're using the wall for support, you just put your hand at the wall. You're enough distance to lengthen your upper body, your arm on that side that's reaching. Focus here on one thing. Such a required skill is it takes practice to focus, and in today's world we often we let our mind, there's so much to take our attention to. Our mind might be all over the place, so this is time to just center and just do one thing at a time. Of course, coming back to your breath. Good. Coming back to center. You can bend and straighten your legs. And since I mentioned We might do all the, well, there's three warriors, three main warriors. Warrior 1 that we already did, warrior 2, and there is a warrior 3. So this is kind of fun. Again, I would begin warrior 3 with support. So I would use the wall. It's a little tricky for me to show you. I could show you at the wall, but you can also use the back of a chair for support. You'll see what I mean once I get into it. Oh, we can come into dancers and then just extend that leg straight back and try to balance through the hips. So what I mean by that, in warrior 3, you're not lifted through that hip, that leg that's lifted, not lifted in the hips. You try to balance so that both hips are in alignment, reaching back. You might not take your legs so far, but this is like, we're gonna go flying here in this pose. If you can, reach your arms forward. Don't worry about how long you can hold or if your body looks perfect in this pose. Definitely, it's something I haven't done for a little bit, that pose. So it takes practice, but it's really fun to try. Okay. So we're going to try the other side just for a moment, just to get a taste of it. Come into dancers and then stretch that leg back, find your steadiness. Try not to collapse through the standing hip and try to balance through both hips. One side might feel a little easier too. Once you feel you got your leg in alignment, reach through your arms. Breathe here. Let's try for one more breath. And then you release. And next time you inhale, lift your arms. And next time you exhale, we're going to come into a forward bend. Good, shake your head out. And then we're going to walk the hands outwards a little bit so that we can plant the palms and walk the legs back, walk the feet back so that you can come into downward facing dog or half dog. If you're saying, oh, I'm tired today, you always do half dog and really get that alignment. Breath here. One more like that. And then we're going to come forward, half plank. So if you're moving from downward dog, drop your knees and move into half plank. And then we're going to lower down onto the belly. So bend your elbows, slowly roll from your thighs onto your hips and pelvis. Once you get to your belly, lift one leg and like the entire leg right from the hip and pull it back a little bit. Do the same on the other side. Center and root yourself down onto the front of the pelvis. This is our back bend. You might do Sphinx. From Sphinx, try not to let your belly sink too much or sag. You want to stay lifted so you're lengthening through the lower back. So I do a little bit of a lift with the lower belly off the mat. That's helping to strengthen the core, of course. The abdominals. And having a strong core really helps keep your back healthy, free from chronic pain and tension. For a lot of people, if it's the core that's not keeping the spine aligned, the strength of the core helps to keep the curves of your spine in a balanced way. So when you're ready, you can come down. If you wanted to try the cobra, you could try doing that for the next breath or two. Hands underneath the shoulders on the next breath in. I'm gonna lift, but try not to just think of, oh, I'm gonna lift my head. I'm gonna lift my body with my head. No, I'm gonna lift from my core. So I'm gonna engage my core and lift And then on the exhalation, roll down. One more time like that. Good. So you know you're kind of using more of your core muscles too. At the beginning of Cobra, it's good practice to take the hands away for a moment and just see, oh, yeah, I'm using those core muscles to keep me lifted. And then we'll come down. We're gonna just release for a moment. You can turn your head to the side. You can let go of your arms. It's a good practice here. Sometimes we sleep on our belly. It's not always the most comfortable, but if you do, it's nice to turn your head to the other side. Always, you can do that anyways, but you can kind of put out your neck if you're only having your head turned to one side. You want to turn it to the other. And a few slow, deep breaths directed towards the lower back. With your inhale and releasing with your exhale. And sliding your hands underneath your shoulders, and we're going to push slowly up. As we do that, you might lift your belly, arch your spine, start to drop down to your hips. And you can settle all the way back. If you prefer, depending on the knees, again, you might want to stay a little bit more forward. You could put a bolster underneath or some blocks underneath your head. And in child's pose, just let your body release. Again, relax through your back. Softening there. You might sway your hips a bit from side to side. Take a nice rest here. And then we're going to come forward and bring the legs in if they're wide. We're going to come over onto the side and then right over onto the back. Once you come to the back, just let your back sink into the floor. Keep your knees bent. And we're going to find a little bit more space, a little bit more length in the back by doing the bridge. So you can lift your hips as you plant your feet, your hips lift. On the exhalation, slowly lower down and try to roll through each bone of your spine. And then we'll do that again at the top of this bridge. Also try to adjust your head and neck, and there's more space here to lengthen your neck so you can tuck your chin in. And then slowly roll down. We'll do that one more time. Plant the feet. Also, you're engaging your legs, your thighs, inner thighs. Pretend you're kind of squeezing on a little ball between them. Good. We'll hold here for one more breath. And then we'll slowly release, come right down. You might feel once you release that your back is a little bit more in contact with the mat all the way through. And that's really good. Do some pelvic rocking, just a little movement. Now just for the lower back and hips, you're pulling your belly in and then releasing, softening. The lower back will lift a bit and then pull the belly in. You can do that with breath, inhaling belly softening, exhaling, sinking. And this time, as your belly comes in, you sink your lower back, plant your feet, bring your self onto the ball of your foot, heels lifted, and then bring one knee in towards your chest. With that other leg, extend right out. Pull out through the heel gently, toes pointing up. Softening through your face, your jaw. And then we're gonna bring, so this is, I've got my left knee in towards my chest. So I'm gonna bring my right hand on the outside of that leg. I'm gonna reach out with the left arm and come into a twist. So we're just dropping the knee over to the side for a moment. If this doesn't feel comfortable, you can always bend both knees and bring them together. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. At the end of this exhalation, begin to come back to center, balancing on, feeling balanced on the center of your lower back. All right, again, bring your feet in a little bit closer. Come up onto the ball of your foot with your heels lifted, and then bring that right knee in towards your chest. Reach out, extend out through your left leg. Toes pointing up. Good. Pausing here for 2 more breaths. And then we're going to bring the left hand on the outside of that right leg. You can drop the foot to the other leg. Keep that right shoulder down as you twist to the left. Again, maybe you find this more comfortable with the legs bent and stacked, aligned, or maybe some support between your knees. Just find what works for you. Let your body sink here. And nice, slow, steady breath in. And even slower breath out. So lengthen right out. Helping your body to release even more into this pose by lengthening your exhalation. Your body can release. Next time on your inhalation, come back to center. And bring your feet in close again. You can come up to the ball, to the toe mound or the ball of your foot, heels lifted. Lift your heels off the floor and plant your feet and then lift your hips and slowly see if you can keep your heels lifted for this one and slowly roll down. We'll do that one more time. Same thing, bridge, but bring your feet in. You're balancing on the base of your toes there. And then slowly release. And after you release that one, we're going to bring both knees in towards the chest. Rock around a little bit. Try to create a wider base through your lower back. When you inhale this time, let your knees slightly move away from your chest. As you exhale, bring them back. We'll do that 2 more times. Good. This time, just release, but lift your legs up or come into the happy baby pose. Grab your feet, grab your ankles or your calves. Keep your knees bent and wide. And then we'll release that. Straighten up with your legs and reach over your head with your arms. And then you could slowly release that. We're going to let go of both legs one at a time. We'll move right into our relaxation position. So sometimes I'll do that a little bit differently too. Maybe I get a sense like I'd like to be here with the soles of my feet together. It's amazing if you have a round bolster to slide underneath your legs, and or supporting the outer thighs with some blocks or cushions, and just letting your feet stay together, bottom of your feet stay together, and the hips open, knees apart. You're welcome to stay here as long as it's comfortable. When you're ready to come out, push your legs back together with your hands. And we're just going to rest here. And take a few more slower, deeper breaths in and out. And then after a few of those breaths in Shavasana, we just allow the breath to release and go back to the breath, return to the breath, feeling like it's breathing you now. Less control over the breath. Watching your breath come in and out. Feeling your body get really relaxed. And if you've had enough of that hip opener, you can always release your legs. And let go through your arms, palms facing up. Unwind and let go anywhere that you might be still holding tension in. Maybe it's the jaw, it's the shoulders. Let the weight of your head settle to let go of your neck. Going down through your whole body. Right through your back, your hips, legs, and feet. Giving yourself this time, this very important time to just be, to do nothing, but yet something so amazing, so powerful, to bring our whole body into balance. My breath breathes me now. I'm being breathed by my breath. So your breath might get a lot softer, more subtle. Just relaxing into this experience. As you let go everywhere You're really setting yourself free, surrendering into the moment more fully. I'll be here for about 5 more breaths. If your mind starts to focus on what's next in your day, just for another moment, bring it back to this moment. A lot of us tend to do that. We tend to always be like either, planning for the future or ruminating on something in the past, but spending more time in this moment more fully really sets the stage for peace, for experiencing peace and happiness just as things are. And then you can start to wiggle your toes and your fingers. You're rolling through those joints, the wrists and the ankles. You can rock your head a few times from side to side. Do any last stretch that feels good. Maybe you're reaching over your head with your arms. And you can release, you can bend your knees and on your own time, roll over. Try to not come up too quickly so you can roll over, stay there for a few breaths before you come up. You can use your arms to come back to sitting, to do our ending or closing. Bring your hands to your heart and perhaps making an intention for the rest of your day. Perhaps it could be something like, I'm going to try to return to my center, to return to my breath throughout the day, to try to live in the moment where really that's the only moment, that's the only time that really exists is the here and now. All right, so thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste. And I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you again soon.